Okay, so we're ready to go?
Yes.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Judge Cathy Prewitt. I cover Whitley and McCreary counties. I have done that now for 21 years. It's been what a ride. I hope you all got to hear the Unite program. Some of you were in there. And the one thing I can reiterate is I'm going to focus on kids. Sorry, that's what I do. But kids know when you're faking it. They can tell, they can see through you. It's kind of like cats. Is anybody here a cat person? I am. So, but anyway, okay. I've been a judge for 21 years, actually, next week. Whitley County was state funded with a juvenile drug court in 2002. So I came on in 2003, and I've been on a drug court of sorts ever since. We learned in 2010, I believe it was, that the state decided in their almighty power that juvenile drugs courts don't work. We need to put all our money in adult drug courts. So you'd rather try to help a 50-year-old who's been an addict for 40 years than try to help a 15-year-old who's just starting. I'm all for adult drug courts, don't get me wrong. But I couldn't deal with that. So I got mad. Then I cried, and I have 3 school systems, actually 4 in 2 counties. And they picked up the funding for the first year. And then they said, we just don't have the money. I said, I understand. Well, along about that time, Reclaiming Futures came alive. Sometime at night, if you can't sleep, Google Reclaiming Futures. And that will be what I'm going to be talking about on how we approach juvenile drug court. So Reclaiming Futures is a model. We got no funding from Reclaiming Futures. It is not a project. It is not a grant. It's a way of doing business. So we have children in juvenile drug court. I do a little bit of everything, but half of what I do involves juveniles. And you've got the dependency, neglect, abuse track, which involves any social workers in here?
I worked for Bell County for 2 years.
Okay.
Now at full purpose.
Okay. So that part, of course, involves removing children from homes. The other track is criminal charges, where the child has actually gotten in trouble himself, herself. And after they wear out the court designated worker on a diversion, they end up with me. So first thing I do when a new child comes into court that I maybe have seen before, but it's been a while or I've never seen, is I get a drug screen. I have screeners right there in the courtroom with me, part of the Reclaiming Futures group, and they get a P screen, as the kids call it. If they're positive, they get a referral to Reclaiming Futures where they go through assessments. So screen, assessments, the next thing. If they have an actual drug charge, possession of marijuana or worse, they automatically get referred to it. In the Reclaiming Futures model, the next step is, after assessments, is treatment. We can normally turn around some type of treatment. We get the assessments usually within less than 3 days. The treatment is harder to get, and I talked about this next door a few minutes ago. Sure, let me finish the model, and then I'm going to get on the main part of my talk, which is going to be vapes. Assuming they get treatment, then education plays a huge role in this. We also have mentors through the Reclaiming Futures model, which is more often than not a retired teacher. So retired teachers make the best mentors because they love kids, or they probably wouldn't have been teaching to begin with. And then we used to say completion. Well, then we learned, no, it's never complete. It's never complete. Instead, it's ongoing. So we are there to serve the kids as long as, once they complete the program, as long as they feel like the need is there to come back. So that's basically how the Reclaiming Futures model works. And it takes a lot of people to make it work. I actually do the drug court meeting in the courtroom twice a month. But I have a wonderful case manager who is an employee of Comp Care. As I said, Comp Care is my right hand. But I get text. We text a lot. She'll update me on the child, and this one's done this or this one's done that. And it's hard, but we do it. One Christmas Eve, not too long ago, I cooked dinner at my house for the family, and I got the call, and I said, okay, you all just go ahead and eat. I'll be back. So 30 minutes later, I got to go back to the table. This girl had used, and we do have a crisis center, Turning Point, in Corbin. And so we were able to get her in Turning Point with some persuasion. But anyway, you never know when you'll get the call. And that wasn't fortunately a bad call. She lived. Okay, so what are we looking at today? Every time I see a child come into court on a criminal case, now I don't do this on the dependency neglect abuse case very often, because often they're just babies. While I was in having lunch, I just started, I got a phone call from one of my social workers, and she said, "We've got a drug baby at the hospital. Mom just walked out after she took a shower and said, good luck placing her." Didn't want anything to do with the child. Social worker was called in, and they managed to catch mom at the door. Have no idea who the father is. And the social worker pleaded, said, "Please, we will work with you. We will help you. If you need treatment, we will help you get treatment." Obviously, she needed it because we had a drug baby. "No, I'm not interested." Walked out. So there we go. That was one case. A huge percentage of my removals deal with drugs. Mom's positive. And we got the nicer name we used for it today, but I'm sorry, it's a drug baby. I've done this too long to use a nice little an acronym for it. So what am I seeing with kids? Used to, it was just possession of marijuana, weed, a cigarette, a joint. Now it's a vape, vapes, and Delta 8 and Delta 9. Those are the most things of what I'm seeing. Right now I have just over 30 kids in the actual drug court, and diversion, we have about 25 in addition. So it's overwhelming. And this is just Whitley County. So it's vapes. So they're charging them now with either public intoxication. These kids get so high on THC vapes. It's scary. I have, out of that 30 something in regular drug court, I have 5 who have been testing off the charts for nanograms. That is nanograms, yeah. I mean, 4,000 and 5,000. Used to, we shuddered to even see one at 200 or 300. And they won't stop. As I mentioned in the other room, the facilities won't take the kids. Medicaid won't pay. That's just marijuana. Run them through your program. Well, we do run them through the program. They have intense counseling, and we even invented another, not a track, but another level. We're calling the intense wraparound. Now that differs from your social worker intense wraparound. This is drug court intense wraparound, where they're seeing somebody almost 5 days a week, including while school's out. So, and they're not coming down. I had drug court, when we have Monday. He's my summer intern from LMU Law School. So yeah, he didn't get to stay for drug court, but we had it Monday, and those 5 kids are still off the charts. So we've told them, we've tried everything. We've tried sanctions. I don't put kids in jail for that. They need help. And I know jail is very important, and I'm not a screaming Mimi. I know there has to be a punishment. I want to get the big drug dealers who are giving this stuff to these kids. These are our kids. These kids are our future. And I'm happy to be in Corbin today. I grew up in Corbin, out in the county, but I'm from Corbin, and I'm so glad we had this group here. And I believe this is my 3rd year of doing it, and I think it's been going for 3 years. And I think this is the largest group we've had. Has anybody else been here every year? Isn't this the biggest group? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought so too. And the awareness, I'm encouraged today after hearing the Unite group. They have moved into juvenile treatment. So I'm so excited. I got numbers, I got an email, and I said, I'm at the end of my rope. We can't get them in treatment because Medicaid won't pay. And so we're putting all these services in place. So what do you do? Well, that's my crying story. Now, the other good part is we are seeing successes. We graduated 6 at Christmas. We usually have 2 graduations, one at Christmas with our big Christmas dinner that's volunteers pay for. And then we're having one in June at the water park there in Williamsburg, which they get us tickets for. And we have free food there too. And so I'm going to be graduating, I think, 4 this summer. Could have been 5, but one of them lost ground and is now off the charts. Other drugs, not right now. I mean, we've seen opioids, we've seen meth, we've seen cocaine. But right now, it's so easy to get Delta 8, Delta 9. You could apparently can get really high from Delta 9. And it tells me you are, or you wouldn't be testing at 4,000 nanograms. I mean, if I did that, I've never even smoked weed. I'd be on the floor, I'm sure. One day in drug court, this kid, yeah, he's positive. So what is it? Is it a joint or a vape? And he said, Judge Prewitt, what's a joint? And he was honest because it came out real quick. They didn't know what a joint was. They don't use joints anymore. It's vapes and the Delta 8 and all that stuff. So where do we go from here? Well, we keep trying, and I'm already in contact. I got emails and phone numbers for Operation Unite, and they are focusing on the vapes. And the other problem I have is social media. Oh my gosh, this I don't do social media. I ran for re-election 2 years ago. I refused to do a Facebook page. I wouldn't do it. It's bad. And the TikTok stuff, and I've got a friend who constantly sends me TikTok cat videos because she knows I'm a cat person. And I said, I really don't want that. I'm afraid to open it, and I'm going to start getting all this nasty stuff from TikTok. But we have to teach them that they can be part of the movement to change things. But how can you teach them that when their parents, at least part of the time, are where they're getting the drugs? I had one mama come in regular court with this little girl. This was when we first started seeing the huge amount of vapes, which was probably a year and a half ago. And I had asked the girl in drug court, I said, where did you get the vape? Usually they won't tell you. She said, my mom, just real cocky. Well, I made my notes. And so when I had them back in regular court, I said, Mom, I understand you gave her the vape. And she said, I did. I said, there was THC in that vape? Well, no, they told me when I got it, it was just. So how do you change culture when it's coming from the parents? Well, the most radical thing I can do is take them out of the home. And then I call social services, help. Often they cannot find an appropriate, quote, family member, so they end up in foster care. And that's not good. So life is hard. But those who succeed, I've had several come back to me later and say, I hated you when I had you in drug court. But thank you so much. I just graduated from college. And they bring me their diploma. And so it's worth it. That's why I keep going. Those few successes, they keep me going. And I could keep going. I have taught day-long courses on this, so I'm going to shut up. And I'm going to let you want to go next?
Sure.
Okay. I'll let you introduce yourself and what you do.
My name's Dallas Hurley, Senior Project Director for Recovery Ready Communities at Volunteers of America Mid-States. We are working with the Office of Drug Control Policy to implement the Recovery Ready Communities program. And basically, it's a certification program for cities, counties, or regions. And we look at the whole spectrum from prevention to treatment to recovery supports on the back end. And we're trying to make sure that each of our certified locations are truly offer a comprehensive recovery-oriented system of care. And a pivotal portion of that are specialty courts, including drug courts, family recovery court, veterans treatment courts. So we, in our program evaluation, we check those modalities out and make sure that they're functioning the way they're supposed to be functioning. And really another part of our job is to try to make sure that the professionals that are staffing these courts have all the resources and the referral pipelines that they need to be successful. And I think that's a huge part of creating an effective judicial response is to give judges the tools that they need to, like you said, with your specialized population, with the juvenile population. That is hard. To try to find residential residential treatment for a minor there's a few places, but it's pretty. There's usually a wait list and there's issues. So that's really. We look at, and in terms of the juvenile population, we're really big on evidence-based prevention programming. So like sources of strength, too good for drugs. We really want to see the regional prevention centers plugged in with the specialty courts, with the schools. And really most of our job is trying to remove silos, to work within existing systems and frameworks and to bolster those already great efforts and just try to tear down as many silos as we can on that front and make sure, again, that those referral pipelines are open, that, you know, what happens, you know, if there's a positive result, like what do we do? What do we do? How do we get to the client and make sure we stabilize the client? And that's really what the program at its heart is about, is strengthening local recovery-oriented systems of care.
Mhm. And one other thing we do in juvenile drug court reclaiming futures is we have a phone number that is available if an outsider. A lot of our referrals come from school, but if it comes from a parent, a concerned friend, another family member, they can call and we will screen that child and they get services. They don't get drug court because they have to be in court to get drug court, but then we can provide those services. Exactly. Now, isn't Corbin applying for to be a recovery?
They're in the process. Yep, recovery-ready community.
Recovery.
Yep.
Okay,
So
good.
we're excited. We're excited about that. So just to give you a quick overview, we've got so 6 communities, and we allow the community themselves to self-select. So that could be a statutorily, it could be a city, county, or region. And so we've had 6 communities certified, but that actually encompasses 10 counties. So Northern Kentucky went together. It was Boone, Kenton, Campbell, and Grant. And it worked really well because they had a unified public health district. They had, even though the separate judicial circuits, they work really well across those boundary lines. And the judges really, and then they have a really interesting multidisciplinary team for diversion and deflection that works really well across county lines. So we're really hoping to see that sort of come to fruition in other counties as well, or regions. And then I did want to plug the Administrative Office of the Courts are doing a lot of great work around this. And actually this summer and late fall, they're going to have 7 summits in each of the judicial or the Supreme Court districts. And at those summits, they're going to really be focusing on establishing those local and regional recovery-oriented systems of care. I think in anticipation of doing the sequential intercept model and rolling that out regionally.
I got an email on that.
Yeah. So so we're excited to partner with AOC and to try to get those, make sure that those panels and those summits are successful, because I mean, it works perfectly with our program. That's what we're trying.
Same motive.
That's right.
It's great. Okay.
Thank you.
Next.
All right, I am Jimmie Wilson, and I'm Director of Recovery and Reentry Services for Eastern Kentucky Concentrated Employment, or EKCF, as many of you may know it. We manage a program called SITE. It's funded through CORE, and we have funding through the Office of Drug Control Policy as well. And we provide support services, job placement, job training, work with drug courts across the state of Kentucky. We work with recovery centers, trying to remove those barriers for participants coming out of recovery or reentry. We also provide, if they need work clothes, we can provide work clothes. We can provide gas cards. We can buy bus passes, you know, if they're in that area, like in Lake Center, Louisville. We can help pay a deposit. We can help pay rent for the first month if they're just starting. We want to help them get a job, but we also want to help them sustain that job. You know, we can get on emergency food card, because a lot of them may not have their SNAP benefits when they come out of a recovery center. So any barrier that will hinder them with employment or sustaining employment, we can assist them with. And we have a job developer in every workforce region in the state of Kentucky. EKCF covers the 23 county area in Kentucky. We do their workforce, but this is a new department, and I am so excited to be the lead of that, because we can be innovative and we can help more people throughout the state as well as the EKCF area. But I work closely with drug courts. A lot of our job developers are in drug court. I work with Floyd County Drug Court through a SAMHSA grant doing their workforce. This is the, I think, 3.5-year mark. And I work with their participants, helping them get jobs, helping them get peer support trained, helping them get in college, career paths. We have a great partnership with Kentucky Technical Community Colleges where we can pay for training. They have a new program called The Climb, and it's career ladders in mental health. And so there's career pathways that people in recovery and reentry can go. They don't have to stop at peer support. They can go into recovery coach. They can go community service associate, community health worker, and go on toward their human services degree. And we help them every step from going to the college to getting their financial aid filled out. Our participants sometimes do not know where to go to on a campus, but they have dedicated people on 9 campuses throughout the state that will help them get the services they need. And then we are there for support because it's hard for participants to navigate the college system, the SNAP benefits, the Medicaid, and we try to, like I said, knock down all the barriers. And we just recently started doing the barrier relief for the HB90 program. We started working with the first one in Letcher County, our job developer did. So Department of Behavioral Health reached out to us and wanted us to do the barrier relief program for the HB90. And what that is their case navigators will send us a referral with a request. It's a little different from the SITE program. The barrier relief is for anything that hinders them in their recovery, and that is the groceries. We can buy them household items, coffee pot or alarm clock. I mean, it's total opposite of SITE. We do workforce and work clothing, but the barrier relief, we can buy other things that, their daily needs. So we've hired a coordinator for that does nothing but order the supplies. They have a set number of vendors that we can choose from. So that falls under our recovery and reentry services department as well. And then we have another grant in Hardin County. We're working with the Hardin County Substance Abuse Program or SAP program, the women's program. And we are helping them get job training before the release. We can help them with supportive services, work clothes, interview clothes, interview skills, resumes. We're getting ready to do a cohort training with them for peer support or CSA, the customer service or the community service associate. So when they do get out of the program, it's a 6-month program, they're ready to go to work. We can help them with a deposit. And a lot of them don't stay in Hardin County. I think there's only 3 women's SAP programs across the state. So there's a big waiting list, and Hardin County is full, and there's a waiting list there, but they say 6 months. And we're partnering with some of the colleges, the Climb colleges, to get those ladies trained with some kind of certification before they leave. And just give them all the resources that we can, whether, it's an ID, birth certificate, social, and just let them have support before they leave and when they get back to their home county. So that's a little bit about what we do as far as Eastern Kentucky Concentrated Employment Program. And I'm just so excited to be here. And we're excited to help other programs and partner and continue helping our participants in recovery and reentry. And I have to say, drug court has always been one of my passions. So it's one of the best programs. In Floyd County, it's my home county, it's where I'm from. We just got rid of the mental health court. So we're excited about that. We have the veterans, the mental health circuit and district. So there's about 55 participants on the 3 drug courts right now, and we're looking to, I think Judge Green wants 100 before it's over with. Yeah, very passionate, and I just think it's a great program. And I love the family court and the juvenile court. I think, you have to have that holistic approach of helping the family as well as not just that participant, because it affects the whole family. But that's my spiel.
That holistic approach means so much too,
It
because
does.
in the past, we saw a child was on drugs. Okay, let's fix the drug problem. Well,
Yeah.
why is the child on drugs?
Right.
Okay, you gotta look at the whole picture.
Absolutely. And I think that's what's so great it's been about the SITE program. We're not in competition with anybody. We welcome partners. I have so many partners and I couldn't do it alone. I'm also the chair of the Eastern Kentucky Reentry Council, and we meet monthly. And we discuss those barriers and we discuss those partnerships, and we have events, we have resource events. You know, it's like a one-stop shop where they can come and get those much needed services. And we have those navigators, the Kentucky connectors that can help them navigate insurance or SNAP benefits, and the college access counselors. If they're, you know, a lot of our participants, they were in debt when they were in addiction, they were in college, then they quit. Now they owe all these student loans and financial aid, and they're in default. And these counselors can help them get them back in deferment and get them back in the community college. And there's just so many scholarships and that we can help them with. So it's like a one-stop shop. If we can't help them, we send them to another agency. And Floyd County and Johnson County is part of this. I think they're doing the Recovery Ready community. So we're excited, and I just look forward to moving our program across the state and really helping as many people as we can.
That's great.
And you said that was the SITE, like SITE?
Yes, and it's Strategic Initiative for Transformational Employment, and it is funded through the CORE, the Kentucky Opioid Response Effort, and we do get funding from the Office of Drug Control Policy as well. And we're looking at some other funding options so we can even, you know, make our program bigger.
Are you guys accessible for just people who are coming out of drug court, or is it accessible for people who are just in recovery?
Just in recovery.
Okay.
Yeah, and drug court, we found that, you know, a lot of times they're understaffed and they're overwhelmed. And we, like the silo, we want to be a service to them. We want to be a partner. We don't want to take over their drug court. We just want to be that extra resource that we can get them an ID. If they get out, if they have to go to jail and get out, I can get them some clothes. We can get them some shoes. I've had them come over to drug court with no shoes on. You know, if they get arrested in the winter and get out in the spring or summer, you know, all they've got is winter clothes, and vice versa. So those are the things that we can do. And we're doing a lot of pre-release classes in the local detention centers where we come together as resources, and they can have that when they leave as well. But, you know, just seeing them come out of jail with those shoes on or just the jail shoes, and it's really heartbreaking. So we try to just do the basic needs first. You know, you got to start at the basic needs and see where they're at and see where they want to go, can go, and try to help them get there.
Those orange flip-flops don't match it.
No, especially if it's like 20 degrees, which we run into that in the winter. A guy got out of Johnson County Detention Center. We just did a pre-release class, and we had an organization going to be there at 8 o'clock that morning when he was supposed to have been released. They let him out at midnight. And so he was walking around Johnson County with shorts and flip-flops and a t-shirt because he got arrested in the winter. But he was able, the guy from the organization was able to find him and got him in our homeless shelter in Pikeville, you know, got him some clothes, and we connected him with our job developer. So, you know, those are some things you don't realize, or, you know, you don't think about. So I learn every day in this role, in this job. And, you know, when you talk to participants, I was a job developer. I would go to jails, go to drug court. I still go to drug court. You know, you really feel, I mean, again, it's the family. You got to help those kids. And Applered's a great partner for us in the Big Sandy area, because they can help them navigate custody issues, or, you know, we hold a lot of expungement clinics to see what can be expunged, and we try to get funding, you know, to pay for that. So it's just a plethora of services we try to provide for them.
And that's what it takes.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
Your turn.
Alright, I'm Frank Robinette. I'm with the Cumberland River Behavioral Health, which is one of Kentucky's 14 community mental health agencies. I, within the agency, work primarily with Harlan and Bell County drug courts. I'm an outpatient substance abuse therapist. Our partnership with drug court kind of puts us in a position to be the first line of access to resources that our clients get. We provide all the therapeutic services for them, as well as that. It's my role to connect them with case management, legal services. Some of the services that were mentioned on this panel, I've used several times, and those are great for our clients. A lot of what we do is making sure that in behavioral modification, you have to have a healthy balance of carrots and sticks to get people on the right path and to keep them on the right path. And a lot of what we do is make sure that there are sufficient rewards and availability and access to resources for clients when they get out and they're beginning this difficult road to recovery. There's always a lot of barriers, and every client comes in with a different starting place. Jeff Wilson was talking about recovery capital. That's a big model in recovery. That's one of the models that I learned when I was coming up was recovery capital. So that's kind of, in my view, I try to assess all of my clients through that same model. Like, what does this client have? If their recovery was a business, what do they have that's working for them? What are their liabilities? What's in their way? What are the barriers? So that's the first line, is identifying what this client is lacking, what they have working for them, and then really just working towards leveraging what they have already to the best of their ability, and then removing those barriers. Cumberland River is it's a comprehensive mental health agency, so we have medical providers, we have psychiatric providers, we have, like I said, case management, we have crisis intervention, we've got inpatient substance abuse therapy, we've got outpatient, we've got IOP. So we've got all of these different avenues that we can utilize when we're talking about individual clients. And then, when we reach things that we can't really do, because I'll be the first to tell you, one of the things that Cumberland River kind of struggles with is little things. Like, we've got the big broad brush strokes in treating clients, but some of the finer things, like a pair of shoes to go to the job interview, not something we do all that well, unfortunately. So little things like that, we really leverage our position as a community resource and our position in the community to leverage those partnerships that we have within our community. So it's kind of, you see the recovery capital model come in, even at our agency level, and I try to preach that as kind of a cultural thing. From my perspective, I try to look at that, in my job, what does my recovery capital look like that can extend to my clients? Like, what resources do I have around me as a provider that I can extend towards my clients? And whether that's some of the people sitting on this panel or, some of our local healthcare providers. We have a lot of local recovery resources in Hardin and Bell County that are really, really there to help. Somebody mentioned Appalachian. It's a fantastic resource. Nobody knows about it. And it's absolutely wonderful, because you don't know how many people are getting out of jail and they're trying to start a new life, but they got like a divorce or something that's been tagging along with them for 20 years. And they think, they've been in that, well, I'm not really married, I'm not really divorced, but I also can't move on with my life in any, true legal sense of the word. And these people are there and they're trying to offer services for that. People that get into drug court come out with DUIs that are like 20 years old. Like, they'll call the clerk's office in some of these counties and like other states, and they don't even know what they're talking about, but the state still has them suspended. Like, what do you do there? Like, they don't know what you're talking about. They don't want to fine. They can't find it anywhere, but your license is still suspended in the state. So, like, there's nothing you can do about it, but you still can't get your license. And there's some really, really fine legal loopholes that you got to jump through to kind of handle problems like that. And, on the individual level, somebody getting out that's only had experience with the justice system, from the inside, is probably not going to have all the answers to that. So having access to people that work with agencies like Apple Red, that's a wonderful partnership, because me as a therapist, and again, I've got experience with the criminal justice system on the inside. I'm not prepared to help a client through that. I take my role in advocacy very seriously, but that's, that only extends so far. So being able to know what I have at my disposal to help my clients is the biggest part of my job, and probably the most rewarding, because as they were talking about one of the other panels, the opposite of addiction is connection. And that doesn't just apply to the clients that I serve, that applies to me, the agency that I work for, and all the other resources that we have. I think a lot of communities have more resources than they really know. And there are barriers to communications.
Yeah. I agree.
And the main problem that I see there is just basic lack of communication, you know. So it's really encouraging to get to come to panels like this, events like this, where everybody can kind of get together and talk. But my experience has taught me already that these things are kind of like revivals. You know, everybody leaves them on fire for the whole thing, and then like we go back to our lives and it's just our lives again. So kind of working together in the future is a personal mission of mine, and figuring out how you maintain those lines of communication and not forget that like the next time you've got somebody coming in front of you with a problem. I was just talking to somebody, 2 days ago that knew how to do that, but I forgot already. Life. It happens. But yeah.
We've got business cards.
Yeah.
And this points out, I'm so honored, this is my third year to be part of this, but we're breaking down the silos.
Oh,
We really are. I mean, with our attitudes and your attitudes, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Maybe not in my lifetime, but it's gonna happen.
It's a lot better than it was.
It's a lot better than it was.
Absolutely a lot better.
I mean, just 10 years ago, I mean, I couldn't imagine,
Yeah. It's changed tremendously.
Yes, it
Like I
has.
said, I've been on the bench 21 years and it's unbelievable how it's changed.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I think is changing in that is that like the cultural outlook on treatment is changing. In my opinion, in my experience, there's a lot less competition when you're talking about treatment providers within and outside of the justice system. I think there's a lot less competition, and people understand that there's always going to be people to help. And I think if you can move away from a competition mindset, like you were saying. And work towards, a collaborative approach. A rising tide raises all ships. So
And the stigma I'm seeing to go away.
Oh, yeah.
It's still there,
Yeah.
but not nearly as bad. as
Not near
it was.
all, yeah, not near as bad.
Anybody have any questions? We've done a lot of talking up here. Yeah, we like to talk.
Yeah,
Questions?
I could talk all day about
Yeah.
what we do and what we want to do.
Absolutely. I always tell my drug court at the end, I meet them twice a month, and I end my drug court part, questions, comments, or confessions. And they know they can confess. I get to totally decide how bad it is and whether or not they're gonna get a sanction. But if they don't tell me and I find out day after tomorrow, they get a sanction. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So questions, comments, or confessions? Well, thank you all so much for being here. Look forward to seeing you again next year. Thank you.